Hey guys, Ray from Love You RV and Boat. Today I'm going to be unboxing and having a look at a portable power station from a company called Bluetti. Now, I've reviewed several of their power stations in the past, but they were all fairly large, almost to the point of home backup. The most recent one was the AC300 and its companion battery, the B300. So they are offering another power station for review, and I decided to go with their really small one because a lot of people are probably more interested in the smaller stations. More campers are just going out weekend camping and just need something to charge their computers, be able to plug stuff into, run a few things, charge their phones, maybe use a CPAP machine, that sort of thing. So I thought this would be a good one to review for those folks. Anyway, let's get it out of the box and have a look at it. There we be. So quite compact. It's about 12 inches by 8 inches by 10 inches. Goes around 22 pounds. Got a pretty serious handle on the back for carrying it. And very simple to use. Only really 3 buttons on the front here. Just power. And then we got to turn the DC side on or the AC side on. You got 2 plugs, 1000 watt pure sine and wave inverter. And on this side we've got a DC input for charging and then a DC output, your standard 12 volt power socket. And it can do 10 amps. And then along the bottom we got our charge ports for phones and things. There's 2 USB 100 watt outputs and then USB-A 12 watts. Display is pretty nice. You can actually see it pretty good outside, which is important. And it also has an app to connect to it. So really it touches all the bases for one of these little power stations. As far as charging, you have several options. We've got power cable to plug into shore power, and then we've got cable to plug into solar panels. I'll give you the specs later. And then we have a cable to plug into a car 12 volt outlet to charge. So it's actually, I've been playing around with it. It's down about 3%. So first thing I'm going to do is test the charging. I'm off grid right now, so I'm just going to fire up my generator and see how fast we can charge this. It's supposed to have a really fast charging, up to about 80% or so. So we'll test that first. Okay, fired up a little generator. It's a small 2000 watt generator. And we'll plug in the box. Over on the side here is the AC power outlet or input. Plug that in, see what happens here. It's ramping up. Right now it's at 270. I think I'm going to have to go in and change something in the app to get it to charge faster. Let's do that. Here's the smartphone app, so it's connected. You can see about 270 watts. I'm just going to go in and see if we can go change the charging mode. Turbo, that's what we need. It was on silent charging. So it's ramping up now. 733, 872, 931. Go check it out. So it's saying 0.7 hours for charge, 930. And right now it's at 5%. So I'll put a timer on it and we'll see how long it takes to charge. Like I say, in the manual, I think it said it'll go to 80% really fast and then slow down for the last 20% just to protect the lithium batteries inside. This one uses lithium iron phosphate, which I like because it's a much safer chemistry than some of the other ones that are used. Not much risk of any type of fire or anything with that chemistry. It's the same one that the regular drop-in replacement RV lithium batteries use. Well, we've been running about 40 minutes now. We're up to 76%. It's been pretty solid, right around 930 watts. So they say right around 80% is where it should switch back to normal charging. You can see it changed color and went green there. It's still going. Starting to drop now. Once it hit about 85%, maybe I was wrong in my figure. You can see the charging starting to slow. Well, right around the 50-minute mark now, and we're at 97%, down to 600 watts. So that's pretty cool. Under an hour, you can basically pretty well charge this right up. It's a lot faster than these boxes were before. I remember testing some boxes called Jackeries and things, and one of the downfalls is they would take forever to charge. They're only putting in around 250, 300 watts, whereas this one is quite zippy in its charging. Maybe next we'll try some discharge tests with that AC inverter and see how much power we can get out of it. They say it's a 1000 watt inverter, but it has some kind of boost mode somewhere in here. I saw where it said power lifting. I think that's something to do with the AC. Helps it power a little bit higher loads. Be interesting to see if it would actually fire up our microwave or not. First, let's test a resistive load, just basic space heater. Turn it on first to about 600 watts here. It's handling it well. 623. Now we'll go up a bit. 926. Handling it fine. Now we'll step it up and we'll go up to, usually it's 1500 watts, and we'll see what happens. So it's running it, showing 1025. They must be dropping the voltage or something. Let me get my multimeter and see what they're doing here. Let's do that again. So we're at 600 watts, putting out 120 volts AC. Switch to 900. We got 120 volts AC. Now let's go to 1500. Yeah, you can see they're dropping the voltage down 98 volts. That's how they're coming up with it still being able to run what they call their heavy lifting mode. So I'm not sure what's going to happen if I test a microwave on that. So here we go, Sunbeam microwave, kind of standard 1500 watt microwave. I'll give her a try, see what happens. Look at the voltage there. Yeah, that's what I figured. It gave it the old try, but you can see we got shutdown problems here. Microwave sounded a bit weird. I thought I tested. I didn't think it was gonna do it. Let's turn that off. Back on. And no harm done. So, good shutdown circuit on it. Do another test for the powerlifting mode with a hairdryer. Any resistive load should work pretty well with that. Let's give her a shot here. Nice low hot, 740 watts. Now we'll go to high. So pretty close to 1000 watts there. Of course, it probably won't heat as well as normal. If you plug it into a normal AC outlet on high, it's going to probably draw pretty close to 1500 watts, but it will run resistive loads with the power lifting mode activated. You can see the little muscle arm there. Let's do a test with a common household item. This is a 3-quart Instapot. I think it draws around 700 watts. I'm just gonna, I put in 2 cups of rice, and we're just gonna go in the rice setting. It takes 12 minutes, and we'll see how much capacity it takes out of this little box. So we're at 94% now, and you can see it turn on, 707. So I'll wait till it's finished its cook cycle, and we'll see how much it's dropped from 94%. It's able to run it no problem because it's well under the 1000 watts. One thing I like about this newer generation of power station is they've really worked on the fans. The early generations of power stations, the fan would just turn on full and be quite annoying. But now they have speed controls in the fans, like I can barely hear the fan running right now. There we go. Looks like it went down to 79%. So about 14–15% of the box was used for that cook. Not too bad. So basically you got a good solid 1000 watt pure sine wave inverter, and it might be able to run a little bit above that on certain things if you went into heavy lifting mode, but don't count on it. But for things like maybe a small Instapot, the small 3-quart, it only draws around 700–800 watts. A small shop vac, things like that, or of course all your smaller charging items will work no problem off of that. And CPAP machines that say only draw maybe 200 watts. Electric blankets, all those sort of things. So you'd have to look at the product you're using and check out its AC wattage usage and make sure it's less than 1000 watts if you want to be sure it's going to work with this box. Maybe we'll look at the DC output here. It says 10 amps, 12 volt. I always like to test. I have an air compressor that has quite a pretty good startup surge, and sometimes these things won't run it, sometimes they will, so it's kind of a good test for the DC output. So we'll check that out. Here we go. Okay, that's good. I've had other boxes I've tested not be able to handle that startup surge on this compressor, but this thing did it no problem. Means it's probably pretty well regulated on its 12 volt output. If you don't want to use the app, you can adjust some things here by holding the DC and AC button both at the same time. Then you get into this PO1 60 Hertz, PO2, and you can see you've got silent mode and turbo mode. So keep pressing it. There's silent charging, turbo mode charging, and standard. Next we have the they call it uplifting for the inverter. Next we had eco mode. Turn that on or off. And then we have the Bluetooth. You can have the Bluetooth on or off. And then hold them again, you go back to the main screen. And a closer look at the app. So this app can manage multiple Bluetti devices. You can see there's the AC70. We'll just connect to it. It's Bluetooth there. And then same thing, you'll have input and output wattages. They've got DC, AC, grid if you're charging when plugged in, or PV, photovoltaic panels or solar panels. And it'll show you your connection. And down here you can turn it on remotely. The slider button. Turn on your AC or DC remotely like that, or you can power the device off right there. And up here you push a little gear icon and it gives you the settings. Just go to user manuals. You can share the device with somebody else, someone else's app. Carbon emission factor, I guess that's kind of trying to be like green. Home page display, turbocharging mode, so you get that turbo mode that I showed you, or their standard mode, or silent. Kind of like silent if I'm just charging it off of not much power input. I'll take it off power lifting. And then we got Eco, AC, Eco, and DC Eco. We'll look in the manual and see what that's about. And then we've got auto sleep 5 minutes. I guess if there's nothing happening as far as power coming out, it'll go to sleep on you. Or it could be the display. We'll have to get a look at the manual. Upgrade firmware. A couple different firmwares you can upgrade. And advanced settings. Grid self-adaption. Okay, let's haul out the manual and see about these things, what's going on there. You can see when I turn these two on, then all of a sudden they're showing power coming out. Turn those off. The eco modes allow it to turn off if it's not seeing much load on it. It says eco mode is power saving mode is enabled by default. When operating eco mode, the AC/DC output will automatically turn off the AC70 if it's lower than 40 watts or no load for a while. Okay. Here's a quick test of the solar input. I got about a 420 watt ground panel there, foldable panel. I'm feeding it in. Fairly sunny day in January down in Arizona. And about 340 watts. So that would charge this box probably in a little over between 2 and 3 hours. So it wouldn't take much of the day to recharge this. I also checked the DC input with the 12 volt socket in my truck, and it put in about 100 watts. So probably take about 7-8 hours to recharge if you were driving. I think the max the DC input is 500 watts. So if you had a big enough solar array, you could max it out at 500 watts. So there you go. I don't really have a whole lot negative to say about this little box. They've really come a long way. Very polished. Good brand name. I believe it has a 5-year warranty, which is pretty good. You've got the 1000 watts power and what they call 2000 lifting power. 768 watt hour capacity. Now I kind of did a test set. I ran about 350 watts. It lasted around 2 hours. 950 turbocharging. That's really good. That's a great feature. And then also has a 500 watt fast solar intake, so you can fully charge it in 2 hours if you have enough solar. And then an important thing is the lithium iron phosphate battery, and they last a long time, over 3,000 charge cycles. The other types of batteries, a lot of them are only good for 500 to 1,000 charge cycles. They usually use that to make it a little more energy dense, so this one might be a little heavier than others, but I find that this chemistry is very safe. And then you also have the remote control with the Bluetooth app. So yeah, overall, good bet. I'm going to start using this in place. I had reviewed a HimSyn box, small kind of similar power, a couple years ago, and I've been using it as kind of my little portable power station. But it only charges at a max of about 250 watts. So this is going to replace that little box as my kind of portable box. Anne likes to use these little boxes for her photography because if we have to hike out to a certain area and she wants to do a time lapse, she likes to plug her camera in there so that the battery doesn't run out. She's got a little thing that plugs into the AC socket, and then she can just leave it out there for hours. So it's handy for her for that. Anyway, stay tuned. At some point, I'll probably have an update. And if anything goes wrong with this box, I'll update you as well. Till next time, Ray from Love You RV and Boat. Cheers, guys.